Most men completely misunderstand what's happening when a younger woman smiles at them. I've spent years studying human behavior in the monastery, and what I'm about to reveal today is something that will challenge everything you think you know about these interactions. This isn't about ego or attraction in the way you might assume. It's actually much deeper, and once you understand it, you'll never see these moments the same way again. Stay until the end, because the final insight will completely transform how you carry yourself in the world. Hidden truth. The smile of a younger woman toward an older man contains layers of meaning that most men completely misinterpret. When you walk down the street and notice a younger woman smile, your ego might immediately conclude she finds you attractive or is flirting with you. This is where most men get caught in a trap of their own making. What's actually happening in that moment has very little to do with romantic interest and everything to do with energy recognition and archetypal dynamics that operate beneath our conscious awareness. The smile is often a recognition of something much more profound than physical attraction. It's a momentary acknowledgement of energy, presence, and essence that transcends the superficial layers of identity. In traditional Eastern wisdom, particularly in the teachings I've studied at the Shaolin Temple, we understand that human beings are constantly reading and responding to the subtle energies of others. This energetic awareness operates beneath our conscious thought processes, but influences how we respond to others in profound ways. When a younger woman smiles at an older man, what's often happening is a recognition of masculine essence in its mature form, not as a sexual advance, but as an acknowledgement of presence, wisdom, and groundedness. This essence recognition happens instantaneously and unconsciously. It's similar to how we might feel drawn to certain people in a crowded room without knowing why. Our energy systems are communicating and resonating on levels beyond conscious thought. Energy recognition. Let me break this down further. In Eastern philosophy, we understand that everyone carries masculine and feminine energies regardless of their biological sex. These energies seek balance, not just within ourselves, but are also recognized and responded to by others. A mature man who has weathered life's challenges often emanates a certain stability and presence that is unconsciously perceived by others. The smile is often simply an acknowledgement of this stable presence. Young women especially, who are navigating a world filled with uncertainty and the chaotic energies of younger men still finding themselves, can sense the contrast when they encounter a man who carries himself with genuine self-assurance and groundedness. The smile isn't necessarily romantic interest. It's more like the unconscious recognition of a quality that feels reassuring in a world of chaos. I remember teaching a seminar in Europe where a 65-year-old business executive asked me this exact question. He had noticed younger women would often smile at him in public spaces, and his ego had created elaborate fantasies around his continued appeal to younger women. After our discussion about energy recognition, he experienced a profound shift in perspective. He realized these smiles weren't about him as a potential romantic partner, but rather an acknowledgement of the stable presence he had cultivated through decades of life experience. Wisdom exchange. There's something even deeper happening here that relates to collective consciousness and ancestral wisdom. In many ancient traditions, elders were revered not just for their knowledge, but for their embodied wisdom. This reverence has largely been lost in modern Western society, but the unconscious recognition of it remains embedded in our psyches. When a younger person encounters someone who carries themselves with the weight of lived experience and personal growth, there's an unconscious recognition of value. This recognition can manifest as a smile, a moment of eye contact, or a brief exchange of energy. It's not about romantic potential, but about recognizing something valuable and worthy of acknowledgement. I've observed this phenomenon across cultures during my travels teaching Shaolin wisdom. It transcends cultural boundaries because it operates at the level of energy rather than societal convention. What many older men miss in these exchanges is the opportunity to recognize what's actually being acknowledged. Not their sexual market value, but their presence, stability, and embodied wisdom. Misinterpreted signs. This misinterpretation leads to the discomfort and awkwardness that sometimes follows these exchanges. When an older man responds to a simple smile of recognition with romantic or sexual interest, it immediately disrupts the authentic energy exchange that was occurring. The younger woman senses this misalignment. She was acknowledging presence and receiving wisdom energy in return, and suddenly the interaction shifts to something entirely different, creating discomfort for both parties. This discomfort isn't about rejection in the conventional sense. It's about the disruption of what could have been a meaningful, energetic exchange between different life stages. In Eastern philosophy, we understand that these exchanges between generations carry important developmental value for both parties. The younger person receives the stabilizing energy of experience, while the older person receives the revitalizing energy of youth and new perspective. What's particularly fascinating about these dynamics is how they operate completely beneath our conscious awareness most of the time. Neither person in the exchange is typically aware of the subtle energetic dance that's occurring. The older man may feel a boost of confidence from receiving a smile, while the younger woman may simply feel momentarily seen or acknowledged in passing. But what's actually happening energetically is much richer and more complex than either may realize. Authentic presence. During my years in the monastery, we studied how energy transfers occur between people. One of the core teachings was about developing what we called authentic presence, the ability to stand fully in one's truth without needing validation or response from others. Men who have developed this quality carry themselves differently. There's no neediness, no seeking of validation, no desperate grasping for affirmation of worth or attractiveness. This authentic presence is immediately detectable by others, particularly by women who have developed sensitivity to the subtle energies of others as a survival mechanism in a world where they must constantly assess safety. When a woman encounters a man standing in authentic presence, there's often an unconscious relaxation that occurs, a subtle recognition that this person isn't seeking anything from them, which creates space for a genuine connection, however brief. The smile that emerges in these moments is one of recognition and appreciation, not invitation. It's similar to how we might appreciate a beautiful sunset or a powerful piece of music, an acknowledgement of something valuable and worthy of notice, not necessarily something we wish to possess or engage with directly. Inner security. What makes this understanding so powerful for men is that it shifts the focus from external validation to internal cultivation. Rather than interpreting smiles as confirmation of continued attractiveness or market value, men can recognize these moments as reflections of the inner work they've done. The quality of presence you cultivate through life experience, self-reflection, and personal growth becomes visible to others through your energy field long before you speak a word. This is why in Shaolin training, we focus extensively on inner cultivation rather than external performance. A man who has developed true inner security doesn't need to prove himself constantly or seek validation from others, especially from younger women. This inner security becomes a magnet for respect and acknowledgement from others across all age groups. I've worked with many successful men who appeared to have everything externally, wealth, status, physical fitness, yet still felt insecure in their interactions with others. What they were missing wasn't another external achievement, but rather this quality of inner security that can only come from genuine self-knowledge and acceptance. When they developed this quality, they noticed that their interactions with everyone, including younger women, transformed from transactions seeking validation to authentic exchanges of energy. Energy maturity. Another critical aspect of this dynamic is what I call energy maturity. As we age, our energetic signature naturally evolves. A young man typically projects an energy that's more volatile, expansive, and undefined, like a powerful river that hasn't yet found its proper channel. An older man who has done his inner work carries an energy that's more contained, directed, and purposeful, like that same river having carved a deeper, more defined path. This mature energy creates a feeling of safety and stability for those around him. Not safety in the sense of physical protection, but energetic safety, the sense that this person knows who they are, isn't desperately seeking anything, and can hold space for others without imposing their needs or projections. Young women navigating a world full of unpredictable energies and potential threats naturally recognize and appreciate this quality of energetic safety when they encounter it. The smile is often an unconscious acknowledgement of this quality. I see your contained, mature energy, and it creates a moment of safety in my experience. Wisdom transference. There's an ancient understanding in Eastern philosophy about how wisdom transfers between generations. It doesn't always require words or formal teaching. Sometimes it happens in brief moments of energetic exchange. When a younger person encounters someone carrying mature wisdom energy, there's an opportunity for a momentary transmission that benefits both parties. The smile that passes between them can be understood as an opening to this exchange, an unconscious recognition of the potential value in the interaction. What's fascinating is that this exchange happens whether or not either party is consciously aware of it. Energy speaks to energy regardless of our mental interpretations or misinterpretations of what's occurring. I remember a powerful example from my own life. As a young monk in training, I would often find myself smiling at elder masters even before I understood their teachings. Something in their presence called forth a response from me that predated intellectual understanding. Years later, I recognized that my energy system was acknowledging the value of their wisdom before my mind could comprehend it. Those smiles weren't about personal affection, but about energetic recognition. Social mirror. There's another layer to this dynamic that relates to social mirroring. Humans are fundamentally social creatures, and we constantly adjust our expressions and energy in response to others. A smile from a younger woman to an older man is sometimes simply social acknowledgement, the recognition of another human being sharing the same space and time. This social mirroring serves important functions in community cohesion. It acknowledges our shared humanity and creates moments of connection in an increasingly disconnected world. The smile says, "I see you as a fellow human being worthy of acknowledgement, nothing more and nothing less." What complicates this natural social mirroring is when it gets filtered through the lens of ego and desire. An older man who is insecure about his aging or seeking validation of his continued relevance and attractiveness may interpret this simple social acknowledgement as something much more significant than it is. This misinterpretation then shapes his response, often creating awkwardness or discomfort where none needed to exist. Generational bridge. These moments of connection between different age groups serve another vital function in human society. They create bridges between generations that might otherwise remain disconnected. In traditional societies, there were structured ways for wisdom to pass between generations. Elders had defined roles and relationships with younger community members that facilitated the transfer of knowledge and perspective. In modern society, these structures have largely dissolved, leaving fewer opportunities for intergenerational connection. The casual interactions that occur in public spaces, including the exchange of smiles between older men and younger women, provide small but meaningful opportunities to bridge this gap. When an older man correctly understands the smile of a younger woman as acknowledgement rather than invitation, he can respond appropriately, with a simple acknowledgement in return. This creates a moment of genuine human connection that affirms our interconnectedness across generations without the complications of misinterpreted romantic or sexual interest. False narratives. One of the most damaging aspects of misinterpreting these smiles is how it reinforces unhelpful narratives about aging and gender dynamics. When an older man assumes that a younger woman's smile indicates romantic or sexual interest, he's often projecting his fears about aging and irrelevance onto a simple human interaction. These projections create internal narratives that can distort reality in profound ways. A man might think, "She's smiling at me because she finds me attractive despite my age," when the reality might be closer to, "She's acknowledging my presence as a fellow human being," or "She's responding to the stable energy I'm projecting." These false narratives not only lead to awkward social interactions, but also prevent men from doing the internal work necessary to develop genuine self-worth, independent of external validation. As long as a man believes his value comes from the romantic or sexual interest of others, particularly younger others, he remains trapped in a cycle of seeking validation that can never truly satisfy his deeper need for meaning and purpose. Internal excellence. In Shaolin philosophy, we teach that true power comes from internal cultivation rather than external validation. A man who focuses on developing his character, wisdom, and inner stability will naturally project an energy that others respond to positively. This positive response isn't the goal of the work, but rather a natural consequence of it. This understanding flips the conventional approach to social dynamics on its head. Instead of asking, "How can I get positive responses like smiles from others?" the question becomes, "How can I cultivate the kind of inner presence that naturally elicits respect and acknowledgement?" The difference is subtle but profound. The first question keeps you trapped in seeking external validation. The second empowers you to focus on what you can actually control, your own internal development. This shift in focus is transformative, not just for how others perceive you, but for how you experience yourself in relation to the world. Energy mastery. One of the core teachings in the monastery was about energy mastery, understanding how to cultivate, direct, and contain your life force energy. As men age, this mastery becomes increasingly important. The unbounded, expansive energy of youth naturally gives way to something more contained and focused. This isn't a loss, but a transformation that carries its own unique power. Men who fight against this natural evolution often project an energy of desperation that others can sense immediately. They cling to youthful expressions of energy that no longer align with their true nature. In contrast, men who embrace the evolution of their energy as they age develop a presence that commands respect without demanding it. This mature masculine energy has a gravitational pull that's completely different from the energetic signature of youth. It doesn't need to announce itself loudly or seek constant affirmation. It simply is, and in that beingness lies its power. This is what younger women are often responding to when they smile at older men. Not physical attraction, but recognition of contained power and presence. Cultural context. It's important to acknowledge that these dynamics play out differently across cultural contexts. In societies with stronger intergenerational connections and clearer roles for elders, these exchanges tend to be understood more accurately. In highly individualistic societies where youth is worshipped and aging is feared, these same exchanges become loaded with misinterpretation and projection. In my travels teaching Shaolin wisdom across different countries, I've observed how these same human energetics manifest differently depending on cultural context. In some cultures, the acknowledgement of elder wisdom through gesture, expression, or word is explicit and understood by all parties. In others, particularly in youth-obsessed Western cultures, these acknowledgements become confused with sexual or romantic interest because the cultural framework for understanding them has been lost. This cultural context doesn't change the underlying energetic reality, but it does shape how we interpret and respond to it. Recognizing this can help men navigate these interactions with greater awareness and less projection, regardless of the cultural environment they find themselves in. Personal growth. Understanding the true nature of these exchanges offers older men a powerful opportunity for personal growth. Rather than seeking validation through misinterpreted smiles, men can use these moments as mirrors reflecting their own internal state. When a younger woman smiles at you, instead of immediately wondering if she finds you attractive, you might ask yourself, what energy am I projecting that elicited this response? What quality of presence am I embodying in this moment? This reflective approach transforms these everyday interactions into opportunities for self-knowledge and growth. Each smile becomes not a stroke to the ego, but a data point in your ongoing development of authentic presence. This shift in perspective is liberating because it moves you from dependency on external responses to empowerment through internal awareness. I've worked with many men in their 50s and 60s who initially came to my seminars seeking ways to remain attractive to younger women. What they discovered instead was something far more valuable: how to develop a quality of presence that naturally commands respect and acknowledgement across all age groups and genders. This presence doesn't depend on physical appearance or status, but on the internal qualities they've cultivated through life experience and conscious growth. Energetic exchange. When properly understood, these moments of acknowledgement between older men and younger women can become beautiful examples of healthy energetic exchange. The older man offers stability, presence, and the embodied wisdom of experience. The younger woman offers vitality, fresh perspective, and the embodied wisdom of beginnings. Neither needs to want anything from the other for this exchange to be meaningful and enriching for both. This understanding transforms potentially awkward or misinterpreted interactions into moments of genuine human connection across the generational divide. The older man no longer needs to feel insecure about his aging or grasping for validation of his continued relevance. The younger woman no longer needs to feel uncomfortable about offering simple human acknowledgement, for fear it will be misinterpreted as romantic interest. In the monastery, we practiced being fully present with each person we encountered, regardless of age, gender, or status. This presence wasn't about seeking anything from them, but about honoring the divine spark in each human being. When you approach interactions from this place of presence rather than need, the quality of all your exchanges transforms dramatically. Wisdom application. How can older men apply this understanding practically in their daily lives? First, by recognizing that a smile from a younger woman is most often simply human acknowledgement, not romantic interest. This recognition allows you to respond appropriately, with a simple acknowledgement in return, rather than with pursuit or excessive engagement that might create discomfort. Second, by shifting focus from seeking validation through these interactions to offering value through your presence. Ask yourself, how can my accumulated life wisdom and stable presence be of benefit in this brief exchange? Sometimes the greatest gift you can offer is simply being fully present and non-needy in the interaction. Third, by using these moments as opportunities to practice non-attachment to outcomes. Can you appreciate a smile for what it is in the moment without needing it to mean something about your worth or desirability? This practice of non-attachment is central to Eastern wisdom traditions and liberating in all areas of life. Conscious aging. This understanding points to a larger opportunity, the possibility of conscious aging for men. In many traditional cultures, aging wasn't seen as decline, but as ascension to a new and valuable life stage with its own unique purposes and expressions. The elder's role wasn't to compete with youth, but to complement it through wisdom, perspective, and stability. Modern society has largely lost this understanding, leaving many men confused about their value and purpose as they age. Without a cultural framework for meaningful aging, many grasp desperately for the markers of youth, including sexual desirability and romantic attention from younger people, rather than embracing the unique power and purpose of their current life stage. Conscious aging involves recognizing that each life stage has its own gifts and purposes. The energy and drive of youth gradually give way to the wisdom and presence of maturity. This isn't loss, but transformation. When men embrace this transformation rather than fighting against it, they discover a whole new dimension of power and purpose that was unavailable to them in youth. Inner authority. One of the most powerful qualities that develops through conscious aging is inner authority, the ability to stand in your truth without needing external validation or permission. This quality is immediately perceptible to others and often elicits respect and acknowledgement, including the smiles we've been discussing. Inner authority doesn't come from position, wealth, or accomplishment, though these may accompany it. It comes from having faced life's challenges, learned from them, and integrated those lessons into your being. It comes from knowing who you are beyond social roles and external markers of success. Men who develop this quality of inner authority naturally attract respect from others across all age groups. The acknowledgement they receive isn't about physical attractiveness or status, but about the authentic power they embody through presence and self-knowledge. Life purpose. As men age, questions of purpose often come to the forefront. What contribution can I make now? How does my role evolve? What wisdom have I gained that might benefit others? These questions point to one of the primary developmental tasks of mature masculinity, shifting from achievement for personal gain to contribution for collective benefit. This shift in focus from personal achievement to meaningful contribution creates a different energetic signature that others unconsciously respond to. When a man is aligned with a purpose larger than himself, he projects an energy of service rather than need. This energy naturally draws positive acknowledgement from others, including the smiles from younger women that are so often misinterpreted. The monastery teachings emphasize that true fulfillment comes not from what you get from others, but from what you give. This understanding transforms how you interpret all social interactions. A smile becomes not validation of your worth, but an opportunity to offer something of value through your presence, even if just for a moment. Energy protection. Another important aspect of mature masculinity is energy protection. Knowing how to maintain your energetic boundaries while remaining open to genuine connection. Many older men struggle with this balance, either becoming completely closed off to protect themselves from rejection or remaining too energetically porous and easily affected by others' responses. Mature masculine presence involves being open to connection without being dependent on it for your sense of self-worth. This balance allows you to remain centered regardless of whether someone smiles at you or ignores you completely. Your worth doesn't fluctuate based on external responses because it's rooted in self-knowledge rather than others' perceptions. This quality of being simultaneously open and grounded creates a powerful energetic signature that others respond to positively. It creates space for genuine connection without the neediness that often repels authentic engagement. Transcending ego. At its core, the misinterpretation of younger women's smiles by older men is an ego issue. The ego seeks constant confirmation of its worth and relevance, particularly in areas where it feels threatened, like aging in a youth-obsessed culture. When the ego is running the show, every interaction becomes potential validation or rejection of worth. The path of wisdom involves gradually transcending this ego-based interpretation of experience. As you develop self-knowledge and inner security, you become less dependent on external validation in all its forms. You can appreciate a smile for what it is, a moment of human acknowledgement, without needing it to confirm your desirability or relevance. This transcendence of ego doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process of shifting identification from the temporary aspects of self, like physical appearance and social status, to the more enduring qualities of being, like wisdom, presence, and capacity for love. As this shift occurs, your interpretation of social interactions naturally transforms from ego-based to wisdom-based. Final insight. Now we arrive at the most important understanding of all, one that completely transforms how men experience these interactions and their aging process as a whole. The true power of mature masculinity lies not in receiving acknowledgement from others, but in offering presence that creates space for authentic connection. When you shift from seeking validation through these exchanges to offering value through your presence, everything changes. The smile of a younger woman becomes not something you need to validate your worth, but an opportunity to offer a moment of genuine human connection in a world starved for authenticity. This shift is revolutionary because it moves you from dependency to empowerment, from neediness to generosity, from insecurity to profound inner strength. It transforms aging from a process of loss and diminishment to one of increasing wisdom, presence, and capacity to contribute. The most powerful thing you can cultivate as you age is not the ability to attract admiration or desire from others, but the capacity to stand fully in your authentic presence, offering the fruits of your life experience as a gift rather than seeking validation of your continued relevance. This understanding liberates you from the exhausting cycle of seeking validation through misinterpreted signals and opens you to a new way of being in relationship with yourself and others. It reveals aging not as something to fight against, but as a path to a kind of power and presence unavailable to youth. The power that comes from having walked the full measure of your unique human journey and integrated its lessons into wisdom you can now offer others. So the next time a younger woman smiles at you, remember, she's not validating your desirability, but acknowledging your presence. Don't squander that moment of connection by making it about your ego. Instead, Receive it as an opportunity to offer something genuine in return, the gift of being fully present without needing anything from the exchange. That presence, grounded, secure, and generous, is the true power of mature masculinity that benefits everyone you encounter, regardless of age or gender. This understanding doesn't just transform how you interpret smiles from younger women. It transforms how you experience your entire life journey. And in that transformation lies freedom from the fear of aging and irrelevance that haunts so many men in our youth-obsessed culture. This is the path of the warrior sage. Not fighting against the natural process of aging, but embracing it as the path to your greatest wisdom and power.